get it set up. Okay, Randy, you should
recording.
be ready.
All right, great. Well, we are now solidly into, what is this year? 2021? My goodness. So, as individual businesses, what do we do if our pipeline of leads has fizzled? We're entering the new year with a blank slate. Or maybe we've learned from the past 12 months that we can no longer fall back on all those old school methods of attracting customers. And we want to set our business up for success this year. Let's talk about creative ways to get new leads and stay top of mind with our client. In today's fun and engaging session, we will cover why knowing your audience is paramount, messaging strategies that don't sound salesy. Now, that would be great. Ways to pump up your outreach tactics, and newer tools to help cut through the noise. Taylor Cole Longacre is a TV host, executive producer, podcaster, ministry leader, and travel expert. She has undergraduate and graduate degrees from Southern Methodist University. Taylor spent more than 14 years leading communications for global brands, including Hotels.com, Sabre, and Expedia. Would you please join with me in welcoming Taylor Cole Longacre?
Hi, awesome. Thank you so much. This is great. I really love that I had an opportunity to hear about each of you beforehand. Many of my keynotes, you don't get that chance. So knowing your audience, you heard that in the pitch. So that's helping me to customize this for you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. How about give me a thumbs up when you've got it? Got it? Okay. Awesome. And let's make sure that the slides are advancing. Okay, here we go. Got it? All right. So I want to know from you, what did you do? I normally give something up at the first part of the year. I don't believe in resolutions, but I do believe that I can reset a bit on some of the things that I love to indulge in. For me, my big indulgence is popcorn. I love movie theater popcorn. And I love it so much that I will go to the movie theater with this tub, fill it up, walk out of the theater and go home and watch a movie on Amazon Prime. So that is really my thing. I don't have to sit in the movie at the theater. I can go home and enjoy myself, sit in the media room, and Scott knows my husband, Dr. Mike, sit there and watch a movie with him, but have my popcorn. So was there something that was important to you that you wanted to do in 2020 that you weren't able to do, something getting out? I think it was it Todd who said that he's in the live events industry. And so you're no longer able to do that because events started to fizzle. I know Jeff and Sean can experience that too, me as well. But when we weren't able to do what we normally would like to do, we find other ways. Well, because popcorn is one of my favorite things, I'm going to use a theater setting for my conversation with you today. Okay, so that you have an understanding of what we hope to achieve, because I love plans and agendas and I love planners and making lists. Today, we're going to leave here with a clear picture of our audience. We're also going to have better ways to engage with what I'm calling our BFFs, and I'll describe that a little bit later. We're going to have a real talk approach, ways we can speak in our own language that's authentic and natural and true to ourselves. And then we'll have some tactics that we can use for our outreach, because if you're not showing up, people don't know you exist, sadly. And we're going to have some new ways, hopefully, that you haven't heard about, or maybe if you have, we're going to talk about some new ways to effectively network. And then I love freebies and bonuses. I'm an only child, So I didn't have to share with anybody. So when there was something given away, I was like, okay, good. I get it, because I didn't have anybody that I had to share it with, like my popcorn. So, so I'm going to give you some TLCs though, because I love giving gifts. That's one of my love languages, is TLCs and giving gifts. So really, why is this important? As you know, before 2020, most of us got our leads through that face-to-face connection. We were able to get out and go to meetings. We were able to have conversations one-on-one. For what I do, which is identify people to be on TV shows and place them on podcasts and train and coach people in communications. Even in my public relations roles with Sabre and Hotels.com and Expedia, so much of what we did was face-to-face. We had world-class multimedia video conferencing systems, but we rarely used them because we were intent on getting people face-to-face. And so when all of that started to fizzle, one of the things that I talked with one of my best friends about is now is the time for smart business leaders to really find that way to better reach their audience and to make the most of this time, to strategize about how your business can do business differently and survive through the pandemic. And I know we're starting to get fatigue over even talking about the pandemic, but it has changed the way that we do business. And so now is an opportunity for us to really employ new techniques and tactics to help us break through to whatever happens next. There's also an opportunity in here to build lasting client relationships. And even though we may not be able to shake hands, like I got to see John today and we had a call last week and we've yet to meet face to face, we are able to build a stronger rapport because we've met multiple times now and we've exchanged emails and I've heard his voice and I'm able to see him through the screen. So I think there are ways that we can truly be our authentic self, get to know people, even though we might not be in the same room. So I want to talk about your niche. As was mentioned, I went to SMU and I have a background in broadcast journalism and TV. And one of the very first things they talked with us about was knowing your audience. It's got to be the first thing that you do. And that's why I love what you're doing here with this group, is that you guys get to know each other through your commercials, but you're encouraged to have those one-on-ones to get to know one another even better. And so first we want to talk about what your overall market is. And I've been surprised that people haven't been able to tell me what their market is. They tell me what they do, but they don't tell me what their market is. And one of the areas that I've really seen this is as I'm producing podcasts, one of the things we have to look at is the genre. Same thing with movies. When I look at Amazon Prime and I'm trying to decide what we're going to watch on a Saturday night, first thing I look at is the genre, because I know husband probably doesn't want to see a romantic comedy. I love suspense and thriller, so I normally look at that category first. Sometimes we'll go to comedy. We really like that. We won't be going to cartoons or anything like those, but there's different genres that we like. I'm sure you get that. But really thinking about what your overall market is. You've got to get really laser focused on that market as we start to identify what our niche is. So then from there, we move into getting further down into our niche. When we start to think about that, for example, health and wellness. If you're in health and wellness and fitness, we've got to niche it down even further, because health and wellness can involve everything from the hospital to nutrition supplements to workouts. But in order to really identify your ideal customer, you've got to niche it down even further. And one of the ways that I love to do this is by doing some research. And I'll show you a little trick. So one of the things that we can do is go to Google, put in your industry, and then go scroll all the way down to the bottom of Google, and you'll see some search items that people typically look for when they're thinking about your industry. And this is based on what Google is searching for. So I've given you an example. We talked about health and wellness, really, really broad. That could be everything from chiropractors to nutrition supplements to workouts to mental clarity and meditation. But what if you were into workouts, and specifically high intensity interval workouts? So put that in the top of the search and then scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says searches related to HIIT workouts, and you'll start to see some niches. So and I used to be a fitness trainer years ago, and I taught cardio funk, I taught hip hop aerobics. And so I usually said anybody can take my classes. But I realized that the sweet spot for me, the types of people that were coming to my classes were typically 20s, early 30s, typically female. They worked a 9 to 5 job because my classes were at 7 o'clock. They weren't beginners. They liked a certain type of music, and they lived in a particular area. So I could niche down really easily on who would be a great candidate to come to my class. I also found that they liked smoothies, they liked alkaline water. There were all these different things that really fit that profile. And so as I niched down, I was better able to tailor my offers to them. So the same thing here with these searches. So I've gone from wellness, fitness to HIIT workouts, and now HIIT workouts for belly fat. Now that gets really specific. You can start to market to people who are struggling with belly fat because you've been able to pull in the right audience. I'm going to take a quick look at okay. I was looking at the chat. I thought I saw something come up. We're all still good? Okay. Thanks, Randy. Okay. So I hope you guys get that. So you can't be someone's go-to if you haven't clearly defined your who. And that's one of the things we have to be able to do is really define who that person is. You can't be their go-to if you haven't clearly defined your who. So let's talk about that BFF. Let's talk about the person that is your ideal customer avatar. And I hope you've heard that term, but ideal customer avatar has been thrown around. I've heard it now for the past, say, 8 to 10 months, but it is really a picture of the individual who is your ideal customer. It's that individual that if you could choose anyone to work with, and from what I can tell from your introductions, most of you are entrepreneurs, you're running your own business, or you're part of a bigger group, but you're able to run your own franchise. So technically you could pick and choose who you want to work with. And I think that's part of the benefit. When I was at Expedia, when I was at Sabre, Kimberly-Clark, I didn't get to choose who I was going to work with. I was kind of given them. It's almost like your family. You don't get to choose them, but you can choose your friends. And so in this case, if you could pick anyone to work with, if you know there is someone who needs your services, who would that be? But let's talk about the profile of that individual even more specifically. Are they male or female? Are they a boomer? Speaking in Sean's language, are they Gen Xers, Gen Y, millennials? Are they from the greatest generation? What's their occupation? How can you best serve that market if you don't identify exactly who that person is and where you can find them? So once you start to know your BFF, start at the high level, at least get to where you pinpoint a bit about them, what generation, what their occupation is, what industry you're more likely to find them in. But I'd love to get even more focused than that. Let's talk about what inspires your ideal customer. What is it that motivates them to get up in the morning? What is it that they're looking for every day? Also, what is it that frustrates them? What is the pain point? What is the problem that you're hoping to solve? So as you think about that individual, now you're going to start speaking in terms of their beliefs, their thoughts, their needs, their wants. What is keeping them up at night? There is something that is happening in their business, in their daily lives, in the workplace, in their relationships that they have been looking to solve. Have you started to think about what that might be and how your product or service could be the answer? So I'll talk a bit about my ideal customers. Here's an example. Barbie and Richard Armenta. They're authors, speakers, ministry leaders. I met them through church. They're not camera shy at all. They have been on my TV show, The Focus, and they were able to tell their story of how they met. Their book, The Right Combination, basically confesses that they were both on online dating sites and they had tried dating methods. Barbie will tell you that she is 3 times divorced. And we were able to unpack that story through my talk show. But what I love about them is they also want to speak. They want to reach their ideal customers who are families who are struggling. For Barbie, it's women who have been married more than one time. So they've niched it down. That knocks out quite a few people. If you've never been divorced, you're not going to be a good candidate for Barbie. For Richard, it's men who have been struggling with addictions. So broken, struggling families is who they want to help. They know who their audience is. They also know the profile of about the age range. I've seen Barbie walk into her room and she's looked around and she says, you know what? Those aren't my people. And I'm like, whoa, are you kidding me? And she's like, nah, these aren't my people. She's like, these are great people. And she said, you know what? They're healthy or they're not struggling. And so I need to spend my time elsewhere. And she's been able to discern the right places to be if she's intending to grow her business. Not to say that she's not going to go to those groups or meet with those individuals, but she's been able to pinpoint exactly who might need her service, and she's focusing there. So also, Barbie and Richard want to be in the spotlight. They've been out of the spotlight during the pandemic. They normally host a big conference, big event, Todd. So they normally have a lot of people coming to their events and conferences, but they weren't able to do that. They had to do basically a webinar in order to reach their audience. But they could benefit from the types of things that I provide. Plus, they're just great people. So good friends of mine. And so when I think of who I want to work with and who my future customers are, I think of people like Barbie and Richard and people like Sean. So the other piece, now we know who our customer is. We know our industry, we know our audience, we know our customer, we know our BFF. Now we really know what are we going to say to them? We've got to start to think about speaking in their language. And again, we're not going to talk about any salesy messages. We're going to work on some things that will feel natural and authentic for you. So you may have noticed when I was talking to you, I presented a problem, especially for Barbie and Richard. The problem for them or for their customers is these are families that are struggling. These are females who've been married multiple times and they're looking to find the right mate, or they want to not make the same relationship mistakes they made in the past. For Richard, it's individuals who've gone through addiction and they're wanting to get their life on the right path. So I've presented a problem. Then we talk about how Barbie and Richard can help them. We also add in there exactly what you do. I think we confuse people too often with what we do. We have jargon, we have all these things we want to say that we create and do and we are, but can we just tell them in plain English what we do? Also, ultimately, people want to get to an outcome. They want to know that there's some clear steps to get to where they want to be. They don't want to be confused and feel like it's going to take 25 steps to get there. Or I've got to jump through hoops and I need this degree before I can get there. Or I've got to have studied this before I can get there. They just want a clear path to how to work with you and learn more about what that outcome will be. And really one of the most important things that I think we often forget is how should that individual feel once they've been working with you and they're receiving or experiencing success? What does that feel like? What does that look like? So if I were talking with you about Barbie and Richard again, and I was saying, okay, well, they were on my talk show, The Focus. Well, I can tell you some numbers and metrics about the viewership on Amazon Prime and people that have called them, but really, how did that make them feel? What did that do for their business? What was the result or what were the outcomes as a result of having worked with me? And so we want to start talking about what those outcomes look like. And we can do that in the initial conversation, but do it naturally. So this script or this list is actually a way that we can start to talk with our customers. So we start with that problem, how you help them, do what, so that, unlike, and because. And I love gifts. You guys remember that. I love freebies and perks and presents. And so here's a worksheet that we can use. So the first thing we want to do, and maybe you want to take a screenshot of this, or if you go to my website, I will have this as a download that will be available to you. But we want to state what is the problem. So for our ideal customer avatar or our BFF, that person that we really want to work with, what is the problem? And then say, how do you help them? Again, we want to speak in terms of results so that XYZ can happen. I also like to add in the unlike, which is your differentiator. What is it about what you do that is unlike anyone else? Even if you work for a franchise, there is something unique about your business offering, about working with you, that makes it easier. Maybe it makes it less cumbersome. People talk about friction in the purchase path. Maybe it's a frictionless experience. Maybe it's the best price. But start to think about what is that differentiator in working with you. And then last, probably the best one is, how will they feel? What will that experience be like? So kind of a crazy example, but let's talk about tacos. Tacos can be messy to eat. That's the problem. The person sells something with tacos. I help taco lovers wrap their soft shell tacos in a handy, reusable wrapper so that they can enjoy a tasty bite and feel comfortable wearing white. So I've taken you all the way through the problem, the service that you provide, so that people can do something particular. They can have the enjoyment, and then they'll be able to have an experience following it using the tool. It also, of course, works for complex businesses and things as simple as eating a taco. So here's my example. And I've used this and I've modified it over and over and again because I find that I have to tweak it. It's never going to be always the same. Industry has changed in the past 12 months, and so I've had to tweak mine. My initial one was, I empower values-based speakers and brands to avoid obscurity through high-quality TV, radio, and podcast programs. So that was my top line. And then I started with the problem. Expert authors and speakers are going unseen, unheard, and are missing opportunities to be in the front of the room and on stage. And at TV with TLC, we get you out of obscurity and onto internationally distributed TV shows and podcasts, giving you the notoriety and the recognition you deserve. So again, started with the problem, moved them through what I do, and then got to an outcome. Not too salesy. It's something that I can use quick, right away. I can exclude a lot of people in that. If you're not an expert speaker or author, maybe it's not time for you to work with me. Maybe I'll refer you to someone who can help you get there. If you're missing opportunities right now, and most people are, and then maybe TV is right for you. And so clearly I can sift through a lot of prospects just with that one statement. All right. What I love about this statement is I think most of us would hope that when we call someone and we say, we're here to do business with you, or you offer that value statement, that elevator pitch that I just gave you, and someone says, oh my gosh, you're the answer to my prayers. You're exactly what I needed. I have been waiting for someone like you to call me. I can't believe I haven't met you before now. When can we get together? I want to sign up today. You know how great you feel when someone says that? I've been looking for a candidate just like you. I've been looking for someone like you. I've been lonely and I didn't have anyone in my life. Here you are. Everybody wants to be that answer. And so you want to be the you're in exactly what I needed. Okay, so I want to do a bit of a check. Let's look backstage, keeping up with my movie theater and stage metaphors. Do you have your elevator pitch? I hope you have it ready. I hope you have something prepared that you can always share when someone says, hey, what is it that you do? In addition to your 30-second spotlight, which you guys did really great, but do you actually have that 30-second introduction or your elevator pitch? And here's where I want to make a plug for my friend, Jeff Klein, because he was so kind to invite me to speak here. Go to jeffs30seconds.com/products/downloads, and you can get tips and tools to help you with your 30-second and your elevator pitch. This piece here on Find Your Cast is probably one of the more important ones, in addition to knowing your customer and getting your message together. And it's something that I didn't realize I was doing even back at hotels.com, but I'm definitely using this technique now. And it's all about collaborations. I'm sure some of you have visited a BNI meeting or you've built a power team. And I think this technique or this piece of a tool in our toolbox has been overlooked. Having someone in your cast or someone who's in your, let's say your tribe or your crew, having someone in your cast that can help you identify leads and customers and help network with you is often overlooked. Now, I'm not talking about a referral group or a networking or a professional business group. I'm not talking about the groups that we're in even right now. I'm talking about getting even tighter on who you want to work with. And you're going to start working in parallel with people who are looking for someone similar. So Jeff often says, I'm looking for who you know to help build my network. So it might not be the individual that's in the room, it's who they know that can help you. But for many people, they have been able to employ the power teams or the collaboration to help them find the right customer. And really, it's people who are before you in the sales cycle. So, for example, if I go back to the health and fitness, it might be someone who's doing meal prep, and I sell workout equipment, but I know that my ideal customer avatar is looking to eat healthy, so they've been buying those prepared meals. So I'm going to work with the individual who runs a prepared meal company, or maybe they're a home chef, and they've already identified these guys are gluten-free. These are people who are struggling with their weight, and so they're going on a 1,500 calorie diet. So now I've got a pool of people I can work with. She's not competing with me because she's selling meals. I'm selling workouts, and we'll refer people back and forth. If I'm working with people who want to reduce their belly fat, chances are they're going to need to get on a good eating plan. So now I can refer them back to the healthy meal preparer. Likewise, maybe they want to see a chiropractor. Years and years of being out of shape and overweight have played a stress and havoc on their spine and their lymphatic system. And so maybe they need to go to a chiropractor. So now I have another referral that I can send to a chiropractor. And one of the things I think about when I look at who I'm going to work with and how we can give and take is I always think I'm going to give 51% to their 49. I'm always thinking I'm going to do 1% more. And most of the time, that's not a good business deal. But on the other hand, if you can give more than you expect to get, you're more likely to get that individual to come on board with you and to start that partnership. So it's a collaborative power team where you maybe are in the same industry, but it doesn't have to be exactly. Just think about who's ahead of you in that purchase funnel who might know those individuals that you're looking to meet. They may have a similar ideal customer avatar. If you could get to that same exact person and find services that will benefit one another, that's all the better. Again, they're in the purchase path, and it'd be great if there's support services for each other, like food and exercise and wellness. Then you can go a step further with that too. Maybe you have a meditation technique, or you have an app to help people with relaxation. Or in addition to the HIIT workouts with weights, here's someone who does yoga and you can help them through that path. Or maybe you have a sleep system and now their holistic body is taken care of because of all that you've done to support them. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of steps on reaching that customer. Now you've got to show up. Now they want to see you. They need to know that you exist. And what I mentioned earlier on is one of the unfortunate things that can happen is that you've gone to all the trouble to build an audience, to build people who are following you and you're teaching them and they're learning from you, but they start to forget you exist. Why? Because you're not showing up. And of course, we have so many options with social media. We could be on LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram Reels. You could do so many different things out there now. You can do lives, and LinkedIn has a live product too. I'm a content creator for Amazon. And so I do product demonstrations through their live service, which a lot of people aren't even familiar with yet. But we've got to pick a spot. I can be all over in 7 or 8 different platforms, but what I really need to do is pick 1 or 2 and do it well. Pick your spot and do it well. So find that spot. Maybe that's Facebook, and you're going to show up consistently. You're going to show up, and I have a formula that I like to share with my clients on 4 or 5 times a week to start with, and then move that to 4 or 5 times a day where you are showing up consistently. And ideally, it's not just you sharing an article or a political post or something your friend did, but ideally you're showing up with your authentic voice and you're on video. You're on camera, you're looking right into the camera and you're talking to your audience. So you've got to show up. Now, I know that for some industries that might not make a lot of sense, but there are ways that you can do it. Twitter, for example, you don't have to go on live because you can't, but you can show up with a message. You can show up with advice and tips, and you can also respond and identify people who you might want to work with. So here's another tip. One of the great ways to identify people through social media, especially on Instagram and Twitter, is just start searching hashtags. If you've identified your ideal customer avatar or your BFF, start looking at the hashtags that people are using that fit your market. And you might be able to find a power partner or a collaboration team member through that as well. I've been able to find a number of people who are speakers and who want to be seen and heard because I followed the hashtags that they're using when they promote themselves. Or I'm following the hashtags of people who have other speaker services that might be in line with what I'm doing. So consistency. The generosity piece is, again, we're going to give more than what we expect to receive. We're going to be out there. We're going to show up. And instead of pitching, hey, buy from me and here's my product for $4.99, you can get this, we're actually going to give more. We're going to give tips. We're going to give tools. We're going to give advice. We're going to share and sow into them. And we really will get back. And I also want to talk with you about some new tools that we can employ in order to help us show up in a different way. Now, I've been doing podcasts for, I think, 12 years. I'm on an international podcast that's about travel. It's called The Informed Traveler, and I'm their hotel expert. And I've been doing that for a number of years, back even when I was at hotels.com. But during the pandemic, one of the things that has improved is people's utilization of podcasts. Now we're finding a growing number of people, more than 20 million, have listened to podcasts since 2018. The number has continued to rise, especially during the pandemic. And I think people are looking to continue their education. They're wanting a connection. They're going to coaching. They're wanting to learn new things. Maybe they don't want to be on the television and waiting for a program to come up, but instead they want it on demand. And that's one of the things that podcasting can do. If you're not familiar with or you haven't really participated in podcasting, it's free. Really, all you need is an app on your phone and you can access them. Google Play and Apple iTunes have podcasts available. I listen to mine through Stitcher. And what I love about Stitcher is I can put together all my favorite shows, kind of stitch them in to one playlist. And every single morning I listen to 10 to 12 podcasts, everything from sermons to communications coaches, the news. I have a word of the day that I listen to. It all comes in during my morning power walk, and that just helps me set my day. And then when I want to take maybe a continuing education course, I want to learn a new technique, I know I can search for a podcast that might fit that. The other thing that's really big with podcasts, and especially if you become a podcaster, is it creates a connection unlike any other. When you put the headphones on and someone is listening to you and you're giving them advice and you're speaking your truth or your ideas or your advice and recommendation into their ears, there is something about that connection. It's really intimate. You are part of their day. People who are speaking into me when I'm out on my power walk in the morning, they're with me. It comes back in my mind as I go through the day. I'm like, oh yeah, the person I listened to, they taught me how to create a new piece of content. I learned a new technique with lighting and video. I was reminded about that news headline. There's something about that connection that you're making that's unlike any other. A statistic that I read last week was that people will watch a YouTube video for about 5 minutes. They'll watch a TV program before flipping channels for about 6 or 7 minutes. But with a podcast, they will listen anywhere from 15 to 17 to 35 minutes to that podcast because they've been engaged and they're, I guess, at the edge of their seat, like you're in the movie seat and you're just like, what's going to happen next? So people will tend to listen to podcasts longer, mainly because you can multitask. I can be cooking dinner and I can listen to a full episode of one of my favorite podcasts all before dinner is prepared. I have my headphones in so I don't have to disturb my husband or the cat. And it's really easy for me to add that in. And just like I said, when I do my power walk, I can listen to that podcast. So if you want to learn more about that, I have a calendar invite there. Feel free to shoot me a note and we can talk about it one-on-one. Okay, I'm going to press through. We don't have much left. So now, and here's my popcorn, y'all. I had to put this in here just to tempt myself, but we want to engage our audience. So you've already got number one covered because that is know your audience and know your ideal customer avatar. Next, you want to pique their interest. And I'm going to give you a tool on how to do that. We want to have a call to action. Usually that is something that is timely, relevant, and that they need to take action on soon. And then we want to build our email list. I think one of the things we've learned from all the social media platforms and the things that have been happening with censorship is that you can't depend on any of these online services necessarily. So the one way that we can be sure we have an audience is we put them on our own email list. And we've got a group of people that we can market to no matter what happens with what platform. And then lastly, although I'd like to keep the popcorn all to myself, we got to serve. We got to serve and we need to share. Okay, so quickly about me. Again, I'm a TV host, producer, and podcaster. I've been doing TV shows really since I was back in high school. I was on my first TV show in high school, and then I directed and produced my first show as a sophomore at SMU. So it's been in my blood and something I really love to do. Even when I was a corporate girl, I was doing a lot of TV. One of my big shows is called Hotel Hunt. It's all about travel. We go all over the world and find beautiful places to stay and show you all the experiences along the way. So in 2019, I filmed 13 episodes and we went everywhere from Dubai to Dominican Republic to Spain and Colorado. So you can find that show on Amazon Prime Video. And again, it's Hotel Hunt. I also have a talk show and it's called The Focus. And I interview business leaders, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors about what they do and what makes them tick. They also offer advice that anyone can follow. And that show as well is on Amazon Prime Video and some other networks. I've also turned it into a podcast so that I can reach a bigger audience with the show and also reach that niche audience. And you'll find people like Tiffany Hendra from The Real Housewives of Dallas and Dave Wilk, who is part of 4-Day Weekend. And then entrepreneurs like Michelle Petrie, who invented cowgirl boots with a pink sole. And then I also have Speak Up. And if you look closely at the images, you will notice someone that we all know and love, Shawn Johnson. She's part of Wave 1 of Speak Up, our very first premiere series of Speak Up. Speak Up is all about professional speakers who share their message on a big stage before a live audience of meeting planners, conference organizers, and people who can actually book the speaker for business. And we're starting our next wave in March. So really excited about this show and all the great people that we've brought on. We have more than 24 speakers who've been part of the show, and we've got a big lineup coming in March. And this show as well is on Amazon Prime Video, and it's called Speak Up. So you can find my shows, as I mentioned, on Amazon Prime Video. I have a channel on pray.com. And also I'm going to be on a new network called Life Network for Women. You can also see my podcast anywhere you get your podcast and on international distribution. I also have a couple of other podcasts, and I'm helping people create their own shows. So I have a show called Intentional Talk with Lisa Kay and Taylor. We have a nonprofit that we work with. And so we talk with veterans and a lot of business leaders and speakers about sewing into that nonprofit. And then I've helped others create their own shows. In some cases, I'm the host and I interview them, and others, it's their own show and they run it. And so there's lots of different ways that we can do that. Okay. So I want to give us all a gold star because now we have a clear picture of our audience. We have better ways to engage with our BFF or our ideal customer. We have a new way to network, and we have some tools that we can use to help us get there. But I want to give you even more perks and gifts. So here's a tip for adding content. A lot of people tell me, you know what? I know I need to show up on social media. I know I need to send more email newsletters to my guests and clients or to my potential customers, but I just don't know what to say. So here is a rundown of some of the things that you can do, some of the things that you can say. So you could start the conversation with a challenge that your customer is having, something that has happened with the customer so that you can explain kind of how you help them through that situation. Strange thing happened last week. A homeowner called me at 6:30 in the morning and said XYZ. And this is actually something that one of my clients told me. He's an insurance salesperson, and he said a trampoline landed in the backyard. Wasn't his trampoline, and he didn't want one. So he talks about how working with an insurance company can help you either file a claim on this or how to work with the other homeowner to work through the problem. You could also reveal a secret. You could be like, y'all, you can't believe I'm going to tell you this, but XYZ has happened. And you tell them about a situation, a secret revealed. That piques their interest. A lot of people love that kind of suspense, and you can offer a story. We all love to hear a great story. You can ask an engaging question. My husband does this. He says, who is having problems sleeping? Have you been having difficulty getting 10 to 12 hours of sleep at night, and why? He'll raise a problem or ask an engaging question. And then from those answers, he can see through that who might be an ideal customer for them. And then really, sometimes people start with this. They just start with a reintroduction. You come out there and say, hey, you know what? This is my name. My name is Taylor. This is what I do. It's been a while since I've introduced myself. I've got a lot of people on my social media pages, and some of you I know and others of you I don't. So I just wanted to come back out and introduce myself again and see if we can re-engage. And I invite you to do the same thing. So people are going to post on your page a little bit about them. And now you know who to engage with and maybe how you can help them. But very simple things you can do to re-engage your audiences, especially on social media. And this also works in email, but it will take a bit longer. Okay. So I am about to wrap it up. I greatly appreciate this time.
We definitely need to. Okay, you're 2 minutes away from.
What's that?
I said you definitely need to land the plane. We're at 12:58, so we absolutely quit formally at noon or at 1 o'clock. So.
Okay, great. All right, so here we go. This is how to reach me. Thank you so much for your time, and feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Well, great. Taylor, we're going to have to push the questions. I appreciate you. Awesome job. Incredible job. Very, a huge amount of information there and very consistent. Love it. Love it. And we really are appreciating you. And sorry, I had to, we have to land the plane here, but I wanted to remind folks that we do this every Friday. So make sure you get a chance to RSVP, send out we've had a great start to the year, great attendance here today. We had up to 22 people at one point. Lisa, I saw you popped on. So Lisa Head is handled and she's on and we'll open it up at the end and you can do it. But if you're a member, one of the benefits of being a member on Wednesdays is you get to do a spotlight. So I encourage you to reach out to Lisa and get on the list. I think we're about 4 weeks away from a spotlight. So if you want to be volunteer to that. Next week, the speaker, it's me. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Actually, I was making notes here. A lot of what that Taylor shared today and things that we heard last week from from Lynn and just all the things that where people are focused on in this 2021. We're going to connect the dots for you and to talk about how to really do that. So definitely want you to do that. We've got other speakers lined up. Jeff Klein is here and has helped us get a lot of speakers going. So again, I would invite you to stay on and tell Taylor how much you appreciate what she's done when I open up the mic. Taylor, if you want to stop your screen share so I can bring up the grid, I could do that. But go ahead and just, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
And so I will open that. We are now at 1 o'clock, actually 1:01. So open up your mics. Feel free to stay around, ask Taylor any questions if she can hang around for a few minutes. And again, beautiful job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeff, for the referral. And Taylor, I'm looking forward to having a one-to-one with you myself. I've got some ideas and stuff. I do have a podcast and I'd like to get your counsel. I always like collaboration. That's what networking is about. We are a group that collaborates, not competes. We're all in this together. So thank you. Okay, so the mics are open, meeting's over. You guys can appreciate it, Taylor, again. And anybody has any comments or whatever, go ahead.
Hi, nice job, Taylor.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you for that.
Good info. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Beautiful.
I love the details and how you get your niche, because I started putting notes on how you focused on your workout when you were presenting that. And after that, I was like, first, I would love to learn how to lose belly fat. And second, I would love to be able to be one of those that are like, yes, I really need to talk to this person. So it was really engaging. And popcorn, that pop-up presentation was so attractive because it's a tease, because you love it, but you told us not to have it this year. So yeah, I love it. I really loved all of it, but I had to tell you personally, it was
Thank
very
you,
engaging.
Esther. Thank
Yeah.
you. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, if you want to hook up in Washington State, Esther's your hookup. So she's.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
used to be in
that's why I love-
Seattle almost every month. I miss it.
Sleepless
Yeah, I
in
have been in
Seattle.
Seattle a lot. My daughter has been in that area, my oldest daughter, for a while. So I've been commuting there, and even since being there on business. So yeah, it's a great place. It's a little rainy. This looks like Seattle a little bit, except the rain. It's not wet right now. So, but it does look kind of cloudy. So
Mm-hmm.
you're in Dallas.
Yes.
But thank you, Taylor. That was awesome. I really like the way you've characterized some of the stuff, and I think there's a lot of synergy between some of the things you're doing and what we're doing within this network and where we're going with this network. So I'm excited to talk about where we can take it.
Well, thank you. And one of the things I wanted to demonstrate is that Jeff is part of my collaboration and power team. And so we have to continue to throw business back and forth to others. You know, Sean's looking to speak. And so she's a regular part of my presentation, and she is as well part of my power team. There's a few others that are part of it too, but you know, I really feel strongly about that. And it actually has helped grow my business. And so instead of me looking to go out and meet more and find leads other ways, the power team is helping.
Jeff, thank you as always. Appreciate your partnership, brother.
You're
Hey, guys.
welcome.
I'm out of here.
Take care. Thank you, Lloyd, for the referrals this week. He got away. All right. Take
Okay.
We got away from
Bye,
you. But
everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
thanks, guys.
Cheers.